Hello boys and girls, and welcome to your news writing activity for today, the 15th of February. I hope you've all had a lovely weekend, and I'd like you now to open your news copies on the next blank page, have your pencils nicely sharpened and ready to go, and have a rubber by your side as well in case you make a mistake. Now do make sure that your pencils are sharpened because it's important for neat writing that your pencils have a nice point on them and that they don't look scruffy. So we'll start off with our title, which is My Weekend News, roughly where you normally would start it, you should know by now, so that you have enough space. So capital M for my, and that word my, M-Y, is one of the I sounds that we learned about last week. My weekend, W-E-E-K. Remember compound word, week, and end, E-N-D. And the word news, which has the word new in it, N-E-W, and then S. My weekend news. And we're going to skip a line. And neatest cursive writing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing your copies when we return to school because I'm expecting that they'll be just so neat and that your writing will have improved so much because that's what happens with practice, and you've had a lot of practice now at home. So capital T for today, and remember to keep your T right next to the margin, don't leave a gap. Today, T-O-D-A-Y. Today is, finger space, is Monday, capital M, tipping off the line like that, O-N-D-A-Y. And remember to keep all your lowercase letters half the size of your uppercase letters, and they should all be about the same size, and that's what keeps your writing so neat. Today is Monday, the 15th, so T-H-E, the 15th, so nice big 1 and a nice big 5, Monday the 15th, T-H, 15th, you can hear the T-H at the end, of, O-F, February. Now remember with the spelling of February, we don't tend to hear the or after the B, so a lot of people leave it out, but it's just to always be mindful that it's there. So capital F, E, B, Feb, Ruary, or U, A, or Y. So don't forget that one there because there are 2 ors in February, 15th of February. So what day was yesterday? I'm sure lots of you know this. It was a day filled with love, to remember people you love and to say nice things to them. So well done. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. Yester, T-E-R, day. Some people make the mistake of writing yesterday as Y-E-S-T-U, or, which is sort of how we say it, but it's actually T-E-R, yesterday. Yesterday was Valentine's Day, so capital V for Valentine's because when it's a special occasion like Christmas or Easter or St. Patrick's Day or Valentine's Day, we always use a capital letter. So Valentine's, V-A-L-E-N, Valentines, T-I-N-E-S. So Valentine's, we're going to put a little apostrophe here because it comes from Saint Valentine, who is the patron saint of that day, and when it's a day that he owns, which he does, we put an apostrophe S to say it's Valentine's Day. He owns it. So this apostrophe, we haven't learned about this yet, but this means when you write that there, somebody owns something. So like Mary's bag, Jane's coat, they would be apostrophe S when you're talking about something that you own. So Valentine's Day, so that's a day owned by Saint Valentine. So day, D-A-Y. And also, if you notice, in this word, Valentine's, there's another example of an I sound, like we saw in my, which is the sound we learned last week, which can be words ending in a Y, or words that have a magic E that's making I say its name. So instead of Valentina's, it's Valentine's, because this magic E is making I say its name. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. Now this week, what's happening at the end of this week, and I'm sure both you and your parents are delighted. Yes, this week we have 2 days off for midterm break. That's right. Now it won't really maybe seem like that when you're at home anyway, but you won't have to do work those 2 days, so that's nice, and your parents will be delighted. This week we have 2 days off, so this, T-H-I-S, oops, week, W-E-K. We have H-A-V-E, 2 days off, so we're going to spell the word two, T-W-O, and I'm going to have to skip a line, but you may not need to, you may be able to fit it in. Just don't forget to skip lines between all your sentences, even your independent sentences. A few people are still forgetting to do that. So this week we have 2 days, written days a lot, D-A-Y-S, 2 days off for midterm break, off, O-F-F. Of is 1 F and off is 2 Fs. We have 2 days off for midterm break. F-O-R, for. And just notice how we made the or there when it's coming from the top of a letter like O. Same as when we made it from B here. It's going from the top straight into the point of the or and then down. Same here with the word for. Midterm, M-I-D, which mid is for the middle of, mid. We're going to just do a dash. The middle of term, midterm, T-E-R-M, break. B, and here we go again, joining the or from the top, B, or, E, A, K. And then a full stop. Now we'll just write one little sentence about the weather last week because it was so extremely cold, and then I'm going to let you write your own news. So far we have today is Monday the 15th of February. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. This week we have 2 days off for midterm break. Okay. Last week, last, L-A-S-T, last week, W-E, the weather, the weather, W-E-A-T-H-E-R. Sorry, that E wasn't great. You could do a better job. The weather was W-A-S. So last week the weather was extremely cold, and I would normally be skipping a line like this. I'll have to go to the next page, but you guys can pause the video if you need to catch up and then continue with me. Or if you're caught up already, then we'll keep going. Weather was extremely, extremely, E-X-T-R-E-M-E. There's the word extreme, and then we'll just write Lee at the end, L-Y. The weather was extremely cold. C-O-L-D. Now we're writing, here is my news. Capital H-E-R-E, here is my M-Y news, N-E-W-S, and a full stop. And then you'll be skipping a line and you'll be writing your own news. Now, from some of the photographs of work that I have received, I'm so impressed with what people have been writing. And more of you have been making a greater effort to write a good amount of sentences. You should be able to write at least as many as you would have in school from me. So, as I said before, don't just write one or two, because that's maybe what you would do at the beginning of first class. But now you're heading towards sort of the later part of second class and getting ready for third class, where there's a lot more writing. So that's why we do prepare quite a lot for that in the older classes. So you're well able to write sentences on your own. And remember, I know you don't have lots of news because of lockdown, but there's always something to write about. So tell me about, you can tell me about the weather today. You can tell me about whether or not you went for any walks over the weekend. Did you play with your brothers and sisters? Did you Zoom or FaceTime anyone? You could talk about last week's show and tell on Zoom, and if there was anyone's show and tell that you particularly liked, you could maybe write about that. Maybe if you're coming up soon on show and tell tomorrow or next week, you can talk about what you're going to show me in show and tell or show the class. You can tell me if you've watched any movies recently or read any good books. You can tell me if you've eaten any yummy meals at home, or have you helped with any cooking or baking, or have you helped with any household chores. So there's plenty to write about. So don't ever think, oh, I have nothing to say. There's always something to say. It's all about practicing your independent sentences. Remember to use your word banks if you don't know how to spell a word. And if it's not there, and if there's no grown-up to help you with spellings because they could be very busy, you don't want to be bothering them, try to guess the spelling if you have no one to ask. Okay, so that's fine. You won't get in any trouble if they're not correct. My biggest thing to remind you of, and we covered this last week in our Jolly Phonics, is please try to remember capital letters at the beginning of sentences and full stops at the end. So read back over your work at the end and double check for all of those. Okay, so that's our handwriting for today. Today is Monday the 15th of February. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. This week we have 2 days off from midterm break. Last week the weather was extremely cold. Here is my news. Okay, I look forward to seeing your work. Best of luck.